Thou Blind Man's Mark is a sonnet written by Sir Philip Sidney in 1598. Although the poem was written many centuries ago, it deals with a subject that still has relevance today: materialism. In this poem, Sidney explores the dangers of materialism and greed. The speaker laments his pursuit of material items to satisfy his happiness and ultimately realizes that the key to happiness lies not in superficial goods, but within oneself. Today, I will be examining this poem and highlighting how Sidney conveys this theme. Sidney's poem is an English sonnet using the typical A, B, A, B, C, D, C, D, E, F, E, F, G, G rhyme scheme with a slight alteration. The third quatrain does not conform to the E, F, E, F rhyme, but instead is E, F, F, E, which is used to highlight the shift in the poem. However, all lines are in iambic pentameter, and all other lines conform to the usual English sonnet structure. The poem begins with the speaker addressing desire, which in this poem refers to our desire for material things. The speaker calls desire a blind man's mark. A mark is a target, so the speaker seems to imply that desire deliberately targets those who are easily manipulated. The speaker goes to call desire a self-chosen snare, to refer to the way desire lures people into traps. Alliteration is used in line 2 to draw attention to the words fond fancies, as well as words like scum and scattered. These words all have in common their harsh negative connotations, which ultimately help to underscore the speaker's disdainful attitude for desire. Alliteration is again used in line 3 to emphasize the cradle of causeless care. This again helps the audience to understand how much the speaker hates desire. Finally, in line 4, the speaker again uses alliteration to draw attention to the words web, will, and rot. So this emphasizes how our desires and greed can never be satisfied. The use of alliteration coupled with the use of harsh diction in this part of the poem helps to convey the speaker's hateful attitude towards desire. In line 5, the speaker calls out to desire. Sidney uses repetition here to emphasize the subject of this poem. Then, Sidney personifies desire as a person selling goods, and the speaker as the person foolishly buying with price of mangled mind desire's worthless ware. The alliteration of the M and W sounds draw attention to the regret the speaker feels for being continuously fooled by desire. Then, Sidney uses repetition again to emphasize the regret the speaker feels when he says too long, and highlights how the speaker knows that he has wasted his time chasing material things when he should have been focusing on higher things, higher here meaning more meaningful. Then there is a shift in the poem, signified by but yet, and then the speaker tells desire that everything it has done with in vain or futile, implying that the speaker has learned his lesson. The speaker then repeats the phrase in vain and uses the word vain in another way to mean superficial, to send the message that he is no longer under the spell of desire. Line 11 features the image of a smoky fire to symbolize the desire's habit of burning everything in its path. However, the speaker is no longer vulnerable to that fire. Line 12 introduces us to the lesson that the speaker has learned. The heroic couplet at the end of the sonnet presents the audience with that lesson: to find happiness within oneself and not through superficial things, and to learn to resist desire. Although this poem is over 400 years old, it still has much relevance today. Today, we live in a world where our greed for money and material goods can get out of hand, sometimes driving us to forget the important things in life. Sydney's poem helps to remind us that happiness cannot be attained through money or a new car or new clothes, but through reflection and introspection.